Studies Section 5. Inflation. Introduction. Inflation may not appear to be a pleasant word, but in monetary view it should, since it is all about enlarging money, so to speak. This section dwells on the economic meaning of inflation, theories underlying the concept of inflation, and the control mechanism that can be put in place to curtail the excessive money supply in a country. The relation between the twin evils of inflation and unemployment will be captured by Phillips curves. Learning outcomes. After you have studied this section, you should be able to define and use correctly the term in bold inflation. Point out the sources of inflationary process. Justify this claim that inflation is evil by examining its effects. Discuss measures that can be used to control inflation. Discuss in details the major argument of Phillips curve. The theory of inflation. Many definitions have been given to inflation in economic literature. Inflation, however, has been defined simply as a sustained rise in prices. Symbolically, the change in prices is stated thus: P is equal to dP over dt. But if it is adopted as an empirical measure of the rate of inflation, it can then be written as dot P over P is equal to dP over dt 1 over P, where dot P represents change in prices and P stands for the price level or price index. Sources of inflationary process. For the sources and causes of inflation to be put in proper context, the discussion will be looked into under these three major categories, viz. 1. The monetarist explanation of inflation. 2. Cost-push theories of inflation. And 3. Excess demand theories of inflation. Question. Inflation is a general and sustained rise in the price level. True or false? Feedback. True. The monetarist explanation of inflation. The monetarists view inflation mainly in terms of increases in the money supply. In the words of Friedman, inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon and can be produced only by a more rapid increase in the quantity of money than output. Its earliest explanation is to be found in the simple quantity theory of money. This theory, however, reaches its highest level of sophistication in the works of Ivan Fisher, Alfred Marshall, A.C. Pigou, and Keynes in the early decades of the 20th century. Fisher's equation of exchange. Fisher summarized the quantity theory of money in the equation of exchange specified as follows: MV is equal to PQ, equation 1, where M represents total money stock, V is the velocity of money, P is the price level, and Q is the level of real output. Assuming V and Q as constant, the price level varies proportionately with the supply of money. Using Fisher's own words, money supply is seen as the important causal factor in inflation, the normal effect of an exactly proportional increase in the general level of prices. 1911, page 157. The proportionality between the money supply, M, and prices, P, with V and Q as constant is demonstrated mathematically. The elasticity of the price level with respect to the money supply, EPM, is equal to dP over dm, capital M over capital P, taking a total differential of equation 1, m dv plus v dm is equal to p the q plus q the p, equation 3. Let the q and the v be equals to 0. Let the q and the v be equals to 0. V the m is equal to q the p. The p over the m is equal to v over q, equation 4. Substituting equation 4 into 2, EPM is equal to v over q, m over p, equation 5. From equation 1, we can obtain v is equal to pq over m. Now substitute it into equation 5. EPM is equal to pq over q dot m over p, equation 6. EPM is equal to pq over q dot m over p is equal to 1. In the final analysis, Fisher made it abundantly clear that equilibrium values of V and Q will not change in response to a given change in money supply, not that it will never change at all. Cambridge equation. This also represents another version of the quantity theory. This was advanced by Alfred Marshall, A.C. Pigot, and other Cambridge economists. The equation is stated as MD is equal to KY equal to KPQ, equation 7, where K is proportionately factor, the Cambridge P is the index of the general price level K. Q is an index of goods sold. Y is the lead of money, income, and MD is the quantity of money demanded. It is more obvious from this formulation that the price level or the level of money income tends to follow the size of the money stock, other than the strict proportionality between the variables as stated by the Fisherman equation. Cost-push theories of inflation. According to this theory, the knowledge about inflationary process will not be completed without understanding the study of institutional framework within which prices as well as wages are determined. For example, trade union activities may result into inflationary trend by demanding for increase in wages from their employers. This may be referred to as wage push theory of inflation. Inflation may also result from excessive cost of production. This may also be referred to as cost-push theory of inflation. Excess demand theories of inflation. This theory of inflation can be well understood using Keynesian analysis. According to diagram 5.1, it is assumed that all resources are fully utilized at Q. At equilibrium point A, the level of output that can be produced is QF. The total claim on goods and services is QFF. Okay. The total claim on goods and services is QFF if the demand for goods and services rise. However, to do, the required output is, however, OQ, which is unattainable. The excess demand is created by a gap CA is called inflationary gap. Question. Due to recent increase in price level, workers press for higher wages owing to their bargaining power. This led to a further increase in price level. This type of inflation can be characterized by A. Demand pull inflation, B. Cost push inflation, C. Cost pull inflation. Feedback. B. Cost push inflation. Diagram 5.1. Effect of inflation. Though it has been argued that some form of inflation is inevitable and required for growth, it is now generally accepted that inflation is an evil, hence it should be avoided. The reasons for this are presented below. Firstly, inflation impairs the usefulness and value of money. Secondly, the distributive effects of inflation are notable for their pervasiveness and also for their hidden character. During these inflationary periods, fixed income earners and lenders are losers, while the borrowers gain because the value of what he is paying back is less than the money he has actually collected. Thirdly, inflation may precipitate a balance of payment crisis. A country experiencing such becomes a good place to sell but a poor place from which to buy. Lastly, it has distorting and destabilizing effect on the domestic economy. The increase in prices encourages speculative accumulation of inventories, excessive bidding for real capital assets. All these cause misallocation of resources. This has a depressing effect on output and employment. The argument is premised on the following arguments. First, excessive preoccupation with price stability will work against the achievement of other economic goals. Secondly, it may favor capital investment, which may further enhance the growth of potential output. Question. All but one are effects of inflation. A. It erodes purchasing power of money. B. It may precipitate balance of payment crisis. C. It has positive effect on those with fixed income. Feedback. C. It has positive effect on those with fixed income. Control of inflation. Providing solutions to inflation require proper diagnosis of the root causes of inflation. The following solutions can therefore be suggested. 1. The monetarist solution to inflationary trend is to reduce the rate of increase of monetary growth. 2. The cost-push theorist solution to inflation. The recommended solution is an income policy. The best definition of this is provided by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, 1962, as follows. What is meant by an incomes policy is that the authorities should have a view about the kind of evolution of incomes which is consistent with their economic objectives and in particular with price stability, that they should seek to promote public agreement on the principles which should guide the growth of incomes, and that they should try to induce people voluntarily to follow this guidance. Page 23. 3. The Keynesian solutions, which are to increase the supply of goods and services and to curtail the level of the economic's aggregate expenditure. In these ways, excess demand problem could be solved. 4. Through indexation. This is a device whereby escalator clauses are included in wage contracts to guard against price increases that may occur after the contractual agreement has commenced. Apart from the specific solutions to the causes of inflation, it is possible to control inflation using the general approach. This includes, among others, monetary and fiscal policies, complementary policies, income policy, and massive imports. Question. Cost-push inflation generated by persistent pressing of workers for higher wage can be controlled through A. Fiscal policy, B. Wage indexation, C. Monetary policy. Feedback. B. Wage indexation. The Philip curve. Relation between unemployment and inflation. The Phillips curve was named after the British economist Professor A. W. Phillips. He identified an inverse relationship between the rate of unemployment and the rate of increase in money wages. Based on his empirical analysis using United Kingdom data, he however observed that when unemployment is high, the rate of increase in money wage rate is low. This is mainly because workers are reluctant to offer their services at less than the prevailing rate when the demand for labor is low and unemployment is so high that wage rates fall very slowly. On the other hand, when unemployment is low, the rate of increase in money wage rate is high. This is because when the demand for labor is high and there are very few unemployed, we should expect unemployment to beat wage rates up quite rapidly. Diagram 5.2. From diagram 5.3, however, two features can be identified. First, the curve is nonlinear. This implies that successive reductions in unemployment result in higher rates of wage inflation. Secondly, when the curve passes the horizontal axis. Diagram 5.3. Wage or price change against rate of unemployment. National rates of unemployment. W over W in bracket is equal to P over P in bracket. P over P2 in bracket. W over W in bracket is equal to F of U in bracket plus beta in bracket P over P in bracket at interval E and 2. W over W in bracket is equal to F of U plus beta P over P in bracket interval E and 1. W over W in bracket is equal to F U in bracket plus beta into bracket P over P interval E and 0. Recent experience has shown that the Phillips curve is a short-term phenomenon. Thus, it has been criticized and modified by economists. They argue that the Phillips curve relates to the short run and it does not remain stable. It shifts with changes in expectation of inflation. In the long run, there is no trade-off between inflation and unemployment. These views have been propounded by Friedman and Phelps in what has come to be known as the accelerationist or the adaptive expectations hypothesis. The curves illustrate that there are different short-term curves, each one with different prices expectations. The curve with zero price expectation, PCO, cuts the horizontal axis at U, which is the natural unemployment rate. Any attempt to reduce the unemployment rate to a permanently lower rate will be unsuccessful because it will revert to the level U after a while, but at a higher price level, say P over P. Any attempt to ignore the basic reality of lowering the unemployment rate from its natural rate will then fail, and the Phillips curve will shift upwards each time because a new price expectation has been generated. Question: there is a trade-off between inflation and unemployment in the long run. True or false? Feedback: false. Trade-off between inflation and unemployment only exists in the short run. Study section summary. In this study session, you learn that inflation is a sustained rise in prices of goods and services. Inflation can be looked at from three major categories, which include namely 1. The monetarist explanation of inflation, 2. Cost-push theories of inflation, and 3. Excess demand theories of inflation. To the monetarist, inflation is a monetary, and this is well demonstrated using Fisher's equation of exchange and the Cambridge equation. Both cost and excess theories of inflation explains inflation as emanating from excessive cost of production in case of former and excess demand for goods and services in the case of the latter. The effects of inflation are also analyzed with respect to losers and gainers. Inflationary problems can be said to be solved by understanding the root causes of inflation. This is the end of study section 5. Thanks for listening.